Hello, it's Oren Prunken, and today, if you're a salesperson, it's going to be a very, very interesting and useful episode. I want to talk to you about what prospects, despise about salespeople. Now, I'm a bit too close to this, so what I did was put out a survey, a poll, asking a whole bunch of people and prospects that I know in my circles, not necessarily the ones that are relevant to what I sell, but just in general what they despise about salespeople. And I think most people can accept the fact that salespeople are not liked. They're not making friends, and it's not a very well-respected profession, even though I think it's one of the most important professions in the world. And I'm not going to go into the details of why I think that is today, because that's beyond what I want to talk about. But I think salespeople are really, really good for everything. Now, not every salesperson is great, but that's the same with every industry. There are some people that are phenomenal and some people that are really bad, and the people that are phenomenal, sit at the end of that bell curve, and there's a lot of average people in a lot of different industries, and the same goes with salespeople, but I digress. So what do people despise about salespeople? Now, I put this survey out and I asked, and it was an anonymous, so I would get the most useful and honest answers. Now, the pattern was really, really clear. What people despise are first up, and kind of both of these are equal in terms of their ranking. One of those was salespeople just don't listen, and I'm sure you being a consumer, even though you're a salesperson, being a consumer on the consumer end, you have definitely identified and been in situations where the salesperson just doesn't listen. The second one, which is equal to not listening, is they just don't care about the product that they are selling. I'm sure you as a consumer, even though you are a salesperson, you've been in situations where the salesperson does not want to be there, does not want to be selling what they are selling. And then the other one that pops up is that salespeople are manipulative. They just try to get the sale at all costs. And again, you're probably in situations as a consumer, even though you're probably a salesperson, that salespeople have tried to manipulate you and done anything they possibly can to get a sale. Now, these are the categories that pretty much everyone fit into when I did that anonymous survey about what people despise in salespeople. Now, what do you do with this as a salesperson, knowing what people dislike about your profession? Well, it's quite easy, and I'm not just making this up based on those responses. It actually follows what you should be doing as a sales process or a sales journey that actually follows how a customer goes through makes a buying decision. First and foremost, even before you start selling anything to anyone, you actually have to believe in the product. If you do not believe in the product that you are selling, whether it's yours or someone else's, you need to get out of the profession ASAP. Quit already. You will not be a successful salesperson if you are selling something that you do not believe in. Kind of sounds obvious, but a lot of people, as the survey said, and my experience as well, and probably your experience as well, is people just sell stuff because they're forced into that situation or environment to do so. Probably because of financial reasons, they just need to get a sales job or sell anything. But you will be a horrendous salesperson if you're selling stuff you don't believe in. Step number one. The second step is actually listen to people. And yes, that's the number one complaint, or equal first complaint that the people I surveyed have. Listen to people, but it goes a little bit beyond that. You're not listening in general for anything and everything. You're listening around qualification criteria that allows you to qualify and move into the next step of the sales cycle, or even still disqualify people of not being a good match with the product or service or solution that you sell. You can listen with that lens of qualifying or disqualifying people to be a good fit for what you are selling, but also a good fit for them. The product actually has to match the problem that they have, the product and problem match. So if you can then do that, that will allow you to become a better seller. But before you get to that stage, you need to understand, or at least acknowledge, if that person is emotionally willing to engage with you. And what I mean by that is sometimes people just don't want to engage with a salesperson at any stage until they are ready. And what I mean by that is if you go into a retail store, for example, someone comes up to you and starts small talking with you. Yes, that can work for people that have gathered all the information they need to then start talking about solutions that are available and then specific products. Now, there are some people that just want to go in and gather information in that retail environment, and they don't want to make small talk. They don't want to talk to salespeople because they're in that information gathering mode. All of that small talk and engaging in solutions is well and truly beyond where they are in their customer journey in terms of making a buying decision. Now, as a salesperson, you need to be acutely aware of if someone is or is not has an emotional readiness to talk to you or to engage with the salesperson. And usually the best way you can do that is through body language and seeing how people are presenting the non-verbal cues, especially in a retail environment. It gets a bit more difficult if you're doing a one-to-many conversation or you are doing something that is online or canned, where you don't have in-person feedback and responses one-on-one. But in that example, you just need to see if there's an emotional willingness for them to engage with you. They may be, as I said, gathering information. They may have had something more traumatic happen in their life. They lost a job or their pet died or something like that. They're not in that headspace to go and engage with you. And you can't engage with someone and start that listening and disqualification process unless they have that emotional willingness to engage first. So then moving on, once you have listened and qualified, and if you've disqualified someone, you just move on to the next prospect. But if you have qualified someone, it's then asking permission from them to be able to go and educate them on the solutions, the whole range of solutions, and then on particular products. Ideally, if you are not in a retail environment, you're just a vendor that sells one product, how can you then educate them on what your product is and why it's better than the rest of the market? And then, and only then, once you've educated people, can you then go in and sell. In other words, doing a pitch and then going in and asking to close, giving a close. So only then can you do that. And of course, once you've educated, asking for permission for people to move on to that stage. And that is the process of how you go about becoming a really effective salesperson, but also not being placed into the category of one that people despise, and also adding to the stigma of salespeople being someone that is being despised by the market. So I'm at my destination. I hope this is a really useful episode for you. I love hearing feedback from people. I love getting comments, whether it's public or private, from people about the content within these episodes. Love you to go try it out. Like everything I say at the end of these, go try it out. See what happens for you and your brand and your business. And again, let me know how you go with it. But until we talk next time, I hope you have a phenomenal day and we'll talk soon. Goodbye. Thanks for listening. And if you like what was on here and want more, please go to orenprunken.com.